On January 4, 2024, Real Madrid defeated Barcelona 4-1 in Riyadh to win their 13th Spanish Super Cup. It was a night to make a statement. Vinicius Jr. had a spectacular hat-trick to steal the stage. After Rodrigo scored the fourth goal, Carlo Ancelotti's club appeared unbeatable. Madrid had already prevailed 5-3 in extra time over Atletico in a tumultuous match on their way to that final. With 4 games remaining, Madrid finished La Liga number 36 a few months later in May. Since the 18th day of the match, they had dominated the table. Shattered their own clean sheet records, emerged as the league's top defensive team, and finished as Spain's top-scoring squad. It appeared to be complete dominance. Then came the grandest night of them all, June 1, 2024, at Wembley. Real Madrid defeated Borussia Dortmund 2-0 to win their 15th Champions League, dominating Europe once more. Vinicius Jr. and Dani Carvajal, who scored the goals, were awarded the competition's top player and MVP. Madistas continue to discuss those historic knockout victories over Bayern Munich and Manchester City. The trophies continue to arrive. Madrid won their 6th WA Super Cup in August after defeating Atlanta in Warsaw. The season seemed unstoppable, and Bellingham was awarded MVP despite goals from Verde and Mbappe. And on December 18th, Real Madrid won the global championship for the 9th time, capping it all. A 3-0 victory over Pachuca in Qatar. Mbappe, Rodrigo, and Vinicius Jr.'s goals brought Madrid another trophy, a celebration, and a reminder of their strength. The unsettling reality is that Real Madrid is no longer in existence. Everything that gave them the upper hand has vanished. The elements of dread, control, and confidence. The problem facing Real Madrid is worse than we anticipated. Unbelievable? Look at this. Carlo Ancelotti alerted his coaching staff early in the previous season. Nothing would work if the defensive effort of the squad stayed at the minimum level, he stated emphatically to them. This was not an opinion or a hunch from an experienced manager. Data supported it. Ancelotti examined the team's overall distance traveled during each game, as well as the intensity of their sprints, and contrasted those figures with those of their rivals. He was correct, the image was troubling. Even though Madrid defeated Atlanta 2-0 in the Super Cup to start the season, the football was already giving out red flags. The performances started to feel weak, flat, and disjointed in August. However, Ancelotti remained devoted to his concept. Mbappe was compelled to start in the starting 11. After a successful season, Rodrigo was shielded. Despite losing Toni Kroos, the brains behind everything, the midfield was not rebuilt. Serious injuries resurfaced at the back. Militao suffered, but Dani Carvajal delivered the true blow. There was no suitable alternative, and his absence stung far more than anticipated. Asensio appeared as a remedy. Xhame filled in when necessary, although Joe only played 10 minutes the entire season. In the Spanish Super Cup final, the negative emotions became a reality. In La Liga at the Bernabeu, Barcelona crushed Madrid 5-2. Another 4-0 disgrace. These matches weren't coincidences. They served as cautions. Everyone in the club sensed something wasn't right, but the plan remained the same. Everything was revealed in April. Madrid was demonstrated to be a level below both Arsenal and Barcelona in the Champions League and the Copa del Rey. Over the course of 2 legs, Arteta's Arsenal outplayed them and won 5-1 on aggregate. Barcelona defeated them once more in the Copa del Rey final. Madrid persevered and even converted a 0-1 into a lead, but lost 3-2 after collapsing. 3 losses to Barcelona in a single season. A cruel 124 aggregating classical. This Madrid team did not flee. They refrained from pressing. Clear planning was lacking. Vinicius was interrupted by Mbappe. Enrich seldom ever played. Everything appeared to be damaged. Furthermore, Madrid's performance against teams of same weight was disastrous. 5-2 versus Barcelona in the Super Cup final, 1-1 against Atletico in La Liga, 4-0 against Barcelona at the Bernabeu, and 1-3 at home against Milan. Guardiola's worst Manchester City team was the only major team they defeated. Even so, Mbappe had to put on two incredible performances. Applause, they drew 2-2 with Atletico in the Champions League and advanced controversially following a penalty kick by Julian Alvarez. They were humiliated twice by Arsenal, 2-1 at the Bernabeu and 3-0 at the Emirates. Barcelona defeated them 4-3 in the final Clásico to end the terrible season and win the league. Ancelotti departed to join the national squad of Brazil. Next came the big wager. The miracle coach, Xabi Alonso, was selected. Shabonso to Real Madrid. Let's get started. The agreement is finalized. The narrative has been verified. Shabonso will take over as Real Madrid's new head coach. The man who helped Leverkusen win trophies and have an undefeated season. Mourinho once referred to him as a tactical genius and a Madrid icon. His father, Xabi Alonso, worked as a manager. He therefore had a similar upbringing to mine. The father was a player when he was born. He was raised by the manager's father. After that, he started playing. Naturally, far superior to me. After that, he became into a great player. His position on the field and his understanding of the game were ideal for a coach who was meant to instill control, authority, and order in the locker room. A manager who was unconcerned with shirt numbers or names. Although it seemed ideal on paper, reality had other ideas. Xabi Alonso was presented barely one day after his appointment was announced on May 25, 2025. Prior to the FIFA Club World Cup, the coach had not wanted to accept the position. He thought it would be wiser to begin a new
Here we go, the deal is done, the story is confirmed. Xabi Alonso will be the new head coach of Real Madrid.
In a new initiative with a real preseason rather than a summer competition, but the club made a different decision. Alonso expressed his annoyance without holding back. During his presentation, he stated, "These are the circumstances," with minimal enthusiasm for the challenge.
Xabi Alonso, his father was a manager, so he grew up similar to me. He was born with the father player, he grew up with the father manager, then he became a player, of course much better than I was. Then he became a player, a top player. His position on the pitch and his knowledge of the game very.
And I'll see it as a chance since that's the situation. It would be unjust to ignore the advantages of Alonso's brief tenure. During the Club World Cup, there were early indications of progress. Real Madrid appeared more focused, ran more, and applied more pressure. The team's creative leader turned out to be Art Güler. Gonzalo Garcia was amazing. Mbappe displayed his star power when he was available. Tchouaméni appeared to be the ideal link between midfield and defense. Madrid improved their defense and launched more focused attacks. They defeated Salzburg with ease, applause, then defeated Dortmund and Juventus with ease. However, in the semi-final against an opponent of the same caliber, the warning signs appeared once more. Madrid was exposed by Alonso. The European champs, Paris Saint-Germain, thrashed them 4-0. The game brutally exposed Madrid's defensive weaknesses. The first internal conflicts were also brought on by that competition. Alonso's treatment of Vinicius Jr. was quite uncomfortable. He first thought about putting Vinicius on the right wing. He then intended to exclude him from the PSG semi-final. That decision was only altered by an injury-induced last-minute reorganization. The harm had already been done. Coach and star's relationship was severely damaged. Those problems seemed to go away for a while. The 2025-2026 season got off to a great start. Madrid won 13 of their first 14 games, including their first 7 straight. They only gave up 4 goals. Before catastrophe struck, everything appeared to be under control. A devastating 5-2 loss to Atletico Madrid, spearheaded by an incredible The Illusion, was destroyed by Julian Alvarez, and issues were simmering beneath the surface even during the winning run. Disagreements also arose around squad planning. Alvaro Carreras, Franco Mastanto, Dean Son, and Trent Alexander-Arnold all joined in the summer, but none of them were the tempo-setting midfielder that Alonso so badly desired. Alonso's top target was Martins Mendy, who eventually joined Arsenal. At Real Sociedad, the two had collaborated closely. The club didn't agree. They thought the middle was already adequately covered. Alonso believed Madrid's chances this season had been severely harmed by that choice. Alonso was also unlucky enough to follow Carlo Ancelotti, a master of man management who was arguably the world's greatest coach at managing a dressing room packed of celebrities and egos. This was a difficulty Alonso had never seen before, despite his success at Leverin and his stellar playing career. Alonso enforced rigorous control early in the season. He restricted the freedom of the player. He desired to alter his regular routines. He insisted on being more prompt. He decreased the number of people who were close to players but were not on the team or staff by restricting access to training sessions. It was not warmly received by several players. When Madrid defeated Barcelona 2-1 at the Bernabeu in La Liga on October 26, the season reached a pivotal point. Madrid won 13 of their first 14 games, including their first 7 straight. They only gave up 4 goals. Before catastrophe struck, everything appeared to be under control. A devastating 5-2 loss to Atletico Madrid, spearheaded by an incredible The Illusion, was destroyed by Julian Alvarez, and issues were simmering beneath the surface even during the winning run. Disagreements also arose around squad planning. Álvaro Carreras, Franco Mastanto, Dean Son, and Trent Alexander-Arnold all joined in the summer, but none of them were the tempo-setting midfielder that Alonso so badly desired. Alonso's top target was Martins Mendy, who eventually joined Arsenal. At Real Sociedad, the two had collaborated closely. The club didn't agree. They thought the middle was already adequately covered. Alonso believed Madrid's chances this season had been severely harmed by that choice. Alonso was also unlucky enough to follow Carlo Ancelotti, a master of man management who was arguably the world's greatest coach at managing a dressing room packed of celebrities and egos. This was a difficulty Alonso had never seen before, despite his success at Leverin and his stellar playing career. Alonso enforced rigorous control early in the season. He restricted the freedom of the player. He desired to alter his regular routines. He insisted on being more prompt. He decreased the number of people who were close to players but were not on the team or staff by restricting access to training sessions. It was not warmly received by several players. When Madrid defeated Barcelona 2-1 at the Bernabeu in La Liga on October 26, the season reached a pivotal point.
Siento mucha pena por Vinicius, pero aquí no estamos trabajando con niños. Si te toca salir del campo, es porque así lo decido. Y punto.
Madrid won 13 of their first 14 games, including their first 7 straight. They only gave up 4 goals. Before catastrophe struck, everything appeared to be under control. A devastating 5-2 loss to Atletico Madrid, spearheaded by an incredible The Illusion, was destroyed by Julian Alvarez, and issues were simmering beneath the surface even during the winning run. Disagreements also arose around squad planning. Álvaro Carreras, Franco Mastanto, Dean Son, and Trent Alexander-Arnold all joined in the summer, but none of them were the tempo-setting midfielder that Alonso so badly desired. Alonso's top target was Martins Mendy, who eventually joined Arsenal. At Real Sociedad, the two had collaborated closely. The club didn't agree. They thought the middle was already adequately covered. Alonso believed Madrid's chances this season had been severely harmed by that choice. Alonso was also unlucky enough to follow Carlo Ancelotti, a master of man management who was arguably the world's greatest coach at managing a dressing room packed of celebrities and egos. This was a difficulty Alonso had never seen before, despite his success at Leverin and his stellar playing career. Alonso enforced rigorous control early in the season. He restricted the freedom of the player. He desired to alter his regular routines. He insisted on being more prompt. He decreased the number of people who were close to players but were not on the team or staff by restricting access to training sessions. It was not warmly received by several players. When Madrid defeated Barcelona 2-1 at the Bernabeu in La Liga on October 26, the season reached a pivotal point. The Madrid players disregarded their manager's directive to create a guard of honor for Barcelona following the Supercopa final loss. It was an embarrassing moment that perfectly captured Alonso's position inside the changing room. Alonso left Real Madrid feeling let down in a number of ways. Disappointed with important players' performances. He was unhappy in himself, thinking he could have handled some circumstances better, and disappointed that, unlike at Leverkusen, he never had complete flexibility to put his ideas into practice. According to sources, the project was tainted by several problems. Alonso believed that certain athletes were not adequately caring for themselves, especially in terms of their diet. Constant leaks to the media from the dressing room also worried him. The worry expressed by players who continued to back him. A small but influential number of players were identified by those close to the coach as being resistant to his authority. It kept coming up with three names. Above all, Vinicius Jr., but also Federico Valverde and Jude Bellingham. And the true issue is that Real Madrid is being held captive by its egos. Real Madrid looked to Alvaro following Alonso's departure. In 2020, he started his coaching career. The academy served as his first managerial home inside the organization. He took over of Infantil during the epidemic season and delivered right away, winning the Spanish League Championship. He was promoted to the cadet category for the 2021 to 2022 season, where his performance kept improving. His ascent didn't end there. Juvenal was given Aviola in 2022 as a last stage before Castilla. That phase turned out to be crucial. He won the Spanish League with Juvenal A, the Copa del Rey, the Copa de Campeón, and an additional league championship in 2024. He was given command of Castilla, the last link to the first team, in June of last year. With 31 points, Castilla is now ranked 4th in Spain's third tier, well behind Tenerife, who have 44. Despite being a member of Real Madrid for more than 20 years, Arriola has demonstrated the capacity to oversee changing rooms and comprehend the club's character from the inside out. Optimism was offered by history. Madrid has enjoyed success with new managers in previous years. After making his head coaching debut, Zinedine Zidane won 3 Champions League titles in a row. When given the opportunity, Santiago Solari also gave strong performances. However, Arbola's story got off to the worst conceivable start. With Franco Mastanto returning to the starting 11, Arriola faced his first serious test less than 48 hours after taking over Xabi Alonso's position and being introduced to the public. Real Madrid experienced yet another crushing setback. After losing 3-2 against Albacete, a Segunda Division team, at the Carlos Belmonte Stadium in the round of 16, they were ousted from the Copa del Rey. After Javier had opened the lead, Mastanto of Argentina equalized the score. Albacete's lead was recovered by Hopper. Gonzalo Garcia gave Madrid a late equalizer, applause, but Betanger scored again in stoppage time to complete a thrilling and devastating elimination. This loss has now been added to the club's list of historical embarrassments. The Moldovan debuts shocked the Bernabeu with a 2-1 victory in September 2021 against Sheriff Tiraspol. The notorious Alcarenazo of the 2009-2010 Copa del Rey, in which alone destroyed Madrid 4-0 and eliminated them after they were unable to rally in the second leg. And now Albacete, who are now ranked 17th in the Spanish second level, have eliminated Real Madrid from the Copa del Rey. This is just not acceptable. Real Madrid has experienced 6 seasons without a title under Florentino Perez's second term as president. 2018-19 was by far the worst. Additionally, all of the 2009, 2010, and 2020-2021 campaigns resulted in historic Copa del Rey embarrassments, including a 4-1 aggregate loss to Alone and a 2-1 loss to Alcoyano. By the first week of March in 2019, Madrid's chances of winning anything were gone. Barcelona defeated them 3-0 at the Bernabeu, eliminating them from the Copa del Rey semifinals. Ajax demolished them 4-1 at home in the Champions League round of 16, and they dropped 1-0 against the same opponent in La Liga. Florentino was severely exposed by the 3 home losses during a season in which Madrid had 3 different managers. In November, Julian Lopetegui was fired. After Santiago Solari was fired in March, Zidane came back to take over. The prospects for 2025 and 2026 now appear even more bleak. Already, Arriola's temporary spell seems brittle. There are still games left in the second half of the season. The team has already lost 2 titles and appears to be mentally and physically spent, lacking the strength to get out of the current situation. And this could result in a historic disgrace if Madrid does nothing. Madismo has to answer some important questions. Do they want to continue developing a sporting strategy based solely on individual stars like Mbappe, or do they want to stay a club where the dressing room dominates the project with puppet managers like Arbola deployed to keep powerful players happy, especially poisonous individuals like Vinicius Jr.? Because Kylian Mbappe establishes and, more crucially, ends eras in addition to scoring goals. Xabi Alonso's dismissal from Real Madrid just months after he was granted sports control is the most recent example. A project built around him fell apart just as fast as the dressing room's patience and, most importantly, the Frenchman's. It is impossible to ignore the pattern. One by one, the managers in Mbappe's immediate vicinity have fallen since he entered the elite. Unai Emery spent just one season with PSG. Thomas Tuchel lived for 2.5 years. Pochettino was in charge for 18 months. Galier for a year. In a dressing room that circled around the same sun, none survived for very long. History repeats again in Madrid. Ancelotti's tenure was 1 year. Xabi Alonso didn't play for more than 6 months. Every 1.4 years since joining PSG, Mbappe has had a different manager. This is a warning, not just a number. In 9 years, 6 managers. Mbappe is not your average football player. He is a power center. He is in charge of the internal atmosphere, hierarchy, and timeliness. His impact extends much beyond the field. He determines who really leads, how teams play, and how far a coach can go before going over an imaginary line. The countdown starts when a management tries to force something that Mbappe rejects. There is one last thing Harris will never forget. The team won the sextuple as soon as Mbappe departed PSG. The club was allowed to breathe without the constant focus on a single player or a player who may influence structural choices. At Madrid, the group seized charge and prevailed. Mbappe has only seen Barcelona win trophies for a year and a half since his arrival. He joined a team that had just won 5 championships. Chaos has ensued. Inadequate preparation, disjointed leadership, and controlling egos. Indeed, Real Madrid is experiencing a crisis that is more severe than ours. Like the video, subscribe to Kickster Facts, and turn on notifications for real football facts you won't hear anywhere else.